Instead, the German government has confirmed it will provide Ukraine with 14 Leopard 2 battle tanks and approve requests by other countries to do the same. The government said the goal is for Germany and its allies to provide Ukraine with a total of 2 battalions or 88 tanks. The long-awaited decision came after U.S. officials say the U.S. would send M1 Abrams tanks to help Ukraine troops push back Russian forces in the country's east. Eileen Alfandary reports.
Ukrainian leaders have been urgently requesting tanks. Connecticut Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal was part of a bipartisan delegation that recently went to Ukraine.
The Leopard 2 tanks are important because they are there. They're in Europe, thousands of them.
Ukraine's defense minister wants 300 Leopard tanks. Some European Union leaders support him on that. A research analyst at the International Institute for Strategic Studies said the Leopard tanks could allow Ukraine to go on the offensive in the 11-month-old conflict, but that maximalist view is not shared by General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
This year, it would be very, very difficult to militarily eject the Russian forces.
Medea Benjamin, co-founder of the peace group Code Pink, said in a recent interview with Lee Camp of Mint Press News that there will be no victory on the battlefield.
Here we are in the midst of this unwinnable war. You wonder why what people in the Biden administration are doing and thinking if they are not listening to people like Mark Milley himself.
I'm Eileen Alfandary for Pacifica Radio.
Germany has more than 500 Leopard 2 tanks in its stockpile. Turkey, which is unlikely to send any to Ukraine, has more than 300. Spain also has more than 300. Poland and Greece each have about 250 Leopard 2 tanks. The Bulletin of Atomic Scientists say the world is closer to Armageddon than it has ever been. The science-based advocacy group moved its famous doomsday clock to just 90 seconds before midnight Tuesday. That's 10 seconds closer to striking 12 than last year. Bulletin President Rachel Bronson said the war in Ukraine and Russia's thinly veiled threats to use nuclear weapons raised a terrible risk and urged negotiations to end the conflict.
The U.S. government, its NATO allies, and Ukraine have multitude of channels for dialogue. We urge leaders to explore all of them to their fullest ability. With this in mind, we are releasing today's statement in English, Russian, and Ukrainian. It is the first time we have done this, and we hope it garners the attention it deserves in the capitals most affected.
Scientists say other existential threats include nuclear weapon increases in China, uranium enrichment in Iran, missile tests in North Korea, biothreats such as pandemic or lab accidents, and worsening climate change. In the past few years, the group has changed from counting down the minutes to counting down the seconds to midnight. California's governor, the White House, and an array of other officials are renewing calls for gun reform legislation after a series of mass shootings across California. Saturday night, 11 people were shot dead at a dance hall in Monterey Park near Los Angeles. Monday night, 4 were injured, 1 killed at a shooting in Oakland, and later 7 were killed, 1 critically injured in Half Moon Bay. Christopher Martinez reports.
We have mourned lives lost in mass shootings after mass shootings.
Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary, says over the past 2 decades, more school-aged children have died from gun violence than police and active military combined. And she says we know what the policy solutions are. California Senator Dianne Feinstein and Connecticut Senators Richard Blumenthal and Chris Murphy, all Democrats, introduced a bill to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines.
The President and the First Lady are thinking of those killed and injured in these latest shootings across America, but more importantly, he's urging both chambers of Congress to act quickly and deliver this assault weapons ban to his desk and take additional action to keep American communities, schools, workplace, and homes safe.
Since the start of the new year, there have been about 70 deaths in 39 mass shootings, according to the nonprofit Gun Violence Archive, and a staggering 1,200 gun violence deaths so far. I'm Christopher Martinez.
California Governor Gavin Newsom visited Half Moon Bay in the wake of the mass shooting there, one day after visiting survivors of the Monterey Park massacre. He said California has led the nation on gun violence policies like background checks and waiting periods for gun purchases, and it has lowered gun deaths. But California cannot do it alone, and criticized Republican lawmakers who have opposed gun control measures, taking aim at Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy of California.
We haven't heard one damn word from him. Not since Monterey Park, not what happened here, not one word, not one expression of prayers, condolences, nothing. And it should surprise nobody. Where's he been on gun safety reform? Where's the Republican Party been on gun safety reform? They blocked it every step of the way.
California Governor Gavin Newsom. Documents with classified markings were discovered in former Vice President Republican Mike Pence's Indiana home last week, according to his attorney Greg Jacob. The documents had been inadvertently boxed and transported to Pence's home at the end of the last administration. It complicates the Republican attack on President Joe Biden, whose attorney said they found a small number of classified documents at an office and his home. It appears both Biden and Pence notified authorities as soon as the documents were found. In contrast, former Republican President Donald Trump rejected several requests to return classified documents to the National Archives. He had hundreds of pages of them. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.